Most singers think of practicing all wrong. Do not practice like this.
Bro, bro, bro.
Or this. Nope. Singers make two massive mistakes when it comes to practicing, and they are based on misconceptions. What you just saw was not practicing. What you just saw was warming up. We must not conflate practicing with warm-ups. You see, proper warm-ups are designed for a singer to take them from cold to doing what they already know how to do well in a particular setting. So, when you see a famous singer warming up, that warm-up routine has been designed around what that singer can already do and what they're about to do when they hit the stage or when they go to the recording studio. So, they're safe, generally low budget, and custom-tailored to that vocalist. And this video, while well-titled, does create some murkiness. Celebrity warm-up, how famous singers train their voices. This is how they warm up. But this is not how they got the voice that they have. Two very different things. And there's very little information or demonstrations from super famous singers out there as to how they actually got where they got. So we just assume that, oh, they've just always had it and they're gifted and okay. But thankfully, we have the journey of Ado to show us how to practice as a vocalist who wants to discover new things about our voice and learn to express more genuinely and creatively. This is practice. It's ugly. She's musing over a backing track from Fleeting Lullaby. I'll bet there is an aspect of warming up here too, but there's an exploratory nature to what she's doing. It's not calculated. And there's some basis to it, right? She's got words to say, she's doing things, but she's super loose. She's super fringy. Just like we hear her live and just like we hear her in a more produced way, she's practicing here. She's practicing like we hear her singing. And as Ado coaches these vocalists through a practice and recording session, we get more insights into valuable practicing. Delivered the line, and then listen to what Ado says.
罰金、罰、罰、罰、罰、罰金ってなんか訴えかけるような、なんかそう重圧感があると嬉しいなと思っていて、ちょっと攻撃的な感じ。それを意識してもう一回お願いしてもいいですか?
And I don't know how accurate that translation really is, but what I got from it is this. Ado is saying, sing like you feel a certain way. Get in touch with how this character or this person is feeling and then express that with your voice. Practice that. Don't just say the words. Don't just go up and down. Connect. Then watch what happens. There was an edge to that next take because she had connected. Not because she did something right, because she connected, because she thought mindfully about what she was saying and how that made her feel, and that delivered what was right. The problem with using warm-ups and scales as a way to practice is that we are practicing accuracy and putting that over connection. Contrary to what may seem obvious about great and famous vocalists, not all of them just had it. Hours and hours of self-discovery and experimentation and sounding terrible and sounding fringy and weird. Things that you'd never want anybody to hear just so that they could figure out what their voices could really do. You see, learning how to sing isn't about calculating things or checking off boxes or finding a roadmap. It's about learning how to learn about your voice. It's only in this way will you really be able to free your voice and figure out what it can really do. Learning how to learn. If you want help doing this, click the link below in the pinned comment or video description and join my free course. I'll help you pull things out of your voice that you never knew were there because I will teach you how to connect with it.
哀れな君が下の星も気づかせてあげるよミカリの手のない見えないトゥッシュにてトゥルーハウトエルマフェティッシュがファファルファナのシャラルバイ半端なマットのファンスは愛ずっと割れないでここにいる限り Trust me ちょうどらしいヒヒヒザってよこっからバリで通りと通りもなくなっちまうほどキャッツボー
Listen to what she's doing. She is going all over the place in her range. Up into head voice, down into chest voice. She's changing her placement all over the place. She's using little bits of distortion here and there. What is she not doing? She's not singing notes. She's not going for a pattern. She's not trying to be good. She is being in discovery mode. What is possible with my voice based on what I feel is happening while I'm vocalizing, with no pressure and no agenda to sing anything specific. Again, yes, there's words, but there's not pitches, and therefore there's no striving. There is freedom and there is discovery.
焦っちゃう血抜く胸肉もさせないさせない I got a mic secret on me forever
And while this next example may be applicable to Selena Gomez in her warm-ups, it is definitely not something we want to latch onto as a practicing vocalist who's still trying to discover what our voice is capable of.
Don't get softer on the top.
Ah! Don't get softer on the top is what he said.
Don't get softer on the top.
The problem isn't that the coach is giving the singer bad advice. The problem is how it's translated when we watch this stuff on video and go, oh, well, Selena Gomez's coach told her not to lighten up on the top of that warm-up, so I shouldn't do that either. I should push. I should make sure that when I'm going up and I'm doing these warm-ups and I'm practicing, that when I get higher, I get louder. And then it leads to stuff like this, which is even worse for someone who's not experienced. Did you see that tension develop in his face and his shoulders when he pushed up to that highest note? No, no, no. During our self-discovery and practice sessions, we do not want to keep pushing more to get higher, better. That is the absolute wrong thing to do. In fact, we want to be perfectly okay with getting lighter as we go higher and feeling out that muscle memory coordination. Because if we're okay with light and high, we will eventually be able to figure out postures that will help us get loud and high. And all of them are okay. All of them are appropriate to use. All of them are great to pull out of our bag of tricks and express with. And this leads me to the second massive mistake that vocalists who are in the discovery process make. They are often so concerned with damaging their voices that they play it too safe. They think that doing something wrong or uncomfortable, even once or twice, is going to mess them up. So they never fully explore what's truly possible. Therefore, they never really understand how to connect their emotions to sounds they can make with their voice. It becomes about what is safe. It becomes about notes. It becomes about technical accuracy, not about genuine connection and vulnerability. Making sounds that cause you to cough, going hoarse after an intense practice session or a rehearsal. These things are not going to cause damage to your voice. They will if you keep going for really long periods of time and don't listen to your body and know when to rest, but they in and of themselves are not damaging. They are a way for you to feel out what's possible. They're a way for you to feel out balances in your voice as you test. How does this feel? How does this sound? How could it feel better and sound better too? Well, if this thing sounds really good but feels terrible, how can I balance things out? And how can I do so in short increments while I practice so that I don't risk injury? If you learn to listen to your body, you can push yourself pretty hard in the name of discovery. Listen to what Ado has been able to develop in her own voice as she reacts to what she believes is a terrible performance. More on that in a second.
邪魔ややめろいやーいやー
So, she's making these, she's screaming. She's making these ridiculous sounds as she's like, no, turn it off. This is terrible. And she's completely beside herself. What's she doing? She's actually, those are pretty extreme sounds, and she's doing them over and over again. And it's working in her voice. How is it working? Because she has spent time playfully feeling out those engagements. Now they happen automatically, and they feel okay in general without her having to think about it. Listen on, because there's some other interesting things that happen here. She's just all over the place. She's gagging, she's screaming, there's all sorts of different tonalities. But what's really interesting is if you know her singing style at all, a lot of the sounds that she's making, she makes in her live performances and in her studio performances. And she connects them to beautiful singing. She's practiced this, and we just heard her practicing some of these things. That was kind of cool. Like, she started by this grunt, and then it actually went into sort of a note.
もうやだ綺麗なペンライト
Beautiful pen lights. She is so free with her voice that even in this raw, that happened with me just then. Like there was a way that I've programmed my voice that caused that broken up sound to come out the way it did. That was a rehearsed sound, even though I wasn't thinking about it being a rehearsed sound. I was just expressing.
ちょっと喋れないかも
Okay, so see, she coughed there a little bit, right? So even as she's doing this, which is not an intentional practice session, and I stress that word intentional, because great vocalists who are constantly in discovery mode and making themselves better are constantly looking for excuses to practice. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a little bit of, even as she's doing this, even as she's making these noises, she's thinking through like, oh, that scream felt pretty good. Or, oh, I myself have been in that situation where I'm yelling across a park or cheering at a game or whatever, and I do something just out of pure reaction or emotion and then go, I kind of like that sound and I kind of like the way that felt.
苦しい心が
So she's coughing there. Maybe she did something that didn't feel quite right. Again, she's feeling things out. Maybe.
あ、人がいっぱい。
So many different placements, and it's so awesome, even though it's noise.
なんだその動きは
Why do you...
ちょっと疲れてたのかも。うわ
I might be getting
こ
tired
うやっ
there.
て見るとヒール高いね。なブルブルブル
So that sound that she just made there existed in a live performance that, okay, she's cringing at it, but lots of people think it's amazing, and she's willing to let it still exist. These terrible reflexive sorts of sounds have created an inroads into her actual singing. Yes, yes, yes.
うわ
You hear how musical even that is? She's throwing her voice around. Right? There's real music there. It's like she can't help but being musical. Or is it that she has trained unconsciously and consciously multiple hours during the day that aren't set practice times so that her voice is unlocked?
飛んでる飛んでるうわーなんかこういうさなんかさなんか生ぬるい動きが陰キャみたいで嫌だよねすごくうわーマジで嫌だ
And listen to those placements in the background of the actual song where she totally changed placement and got all weird. Again, it's like she's reacting to herself doing the things that she's doing while she's reacting to herself. There's more of those sounds! And then she imitates herself, and then she coughs.
もう二度と見たくないよ二度と見たくない何その動きは
It's important to note here how little Ado really cares about whether people think she sounds dumb or not. Because clearly this stuff would not be online if she was really concerned about it. This is a prerequisite for you to be able to really unlock what your voice is capable of. You have to not really care what other people think. You have to be willing to let other people hear all sorts of horribleness. You have to be okay thinking it's terrible, just like Ado does, but also being willing to have it out there, being willing for people to hear it, watch it. This has to start in the very beginning of your discovery process. When you're in your college dorm room and you've got neighbors that you're concerned that, I don't want them to think I'm dying. Nope. You've got to be okay with that. If you've got judgmental siblings or roommates and you're afraid of what they'll think if they hear you doing things that may develop your voice, even if they sound a little weird, if you're afraid of that, how are you ever going to get on stage or make a recording and put it online and be okay with it? There's always going to be something that you don't like. If you stop at, I don't like this, you'll never go anywhere. Ado is a perfect model of that. She hates it, but she's putting it out there anyway. And she's making the same sounds that she hates while she's saying she hates this performance that everybody loves. You don't know. Don't judge yourself and ignore other people who judge you too. Go for it. Just go for it. Listen to what this kind of practicing and this attitude has done for Ado's voice over time. Back in 2020. Now you say, well, that already sounds good. I bet if you ask Ado, she wouldn't say that, right? Can't judge yourself. Just gotta do it. You say, I don't sound as good as even that. You don't know. You're a bad judge. Two years later. Listen for the refinements and the soulfulness that happens over the years. Listen to also that some of the things like even pitch, in some cases, isn't as good in the later examples as they are in the earlier examples. But connectedness and expressiveness is better. Love those slides and how she uses inhales and breaths as instruments in and of themselves. If you take nothing else away from this video, or my channel for that matter, take this. Vocal training, effective vocal training, is not regimented. It is not like warm-ups from famous people. It is raw. It is exposed and vulnerable. It doesn't happen at fixed moments of the day while you set your stopwatch and check boxes. It happens all the time as you're living with your voice, as you're using it in different ways intentionally, as you're exploring the fringes of what it can do while connecting to how you feel, both physically and emotionally. Learning how to practice in this way and being non-judgmental while you're doing it is the only thing that's going to help you unlock your voice. It's the only thing that's going to help you find that uniqueness, that true expressiveness that you really want. If you'd like more help doing this, click the link below in the pinned comment or video description and join my free course. I will help you practice for truly freeing your voice so that you can discover what is really possible with it. And be sure to check out all the other wonderful videos I've done analyzing Ado's vocals right here.